My name is Carmen and I've been with Saving Grace for a year. My role here is kennel care attendant, but I also do adoptions as well. A kennel care attendant's job, first thing when they get on shift, whether it's morning or night, is checking all of the animals for wellness to make sure that they're okay. Then once they're checked, we rotate all of our mature dogs outside so that they can pee, and the other staff member will have their food waiting for them and their meds if they need them. Once all of the matures are taken care of, watered, fed, new bedding, whatever it is that they need. Good. Sit. Sit. Good sit. Good boy. Okay, go pee. Good boy. Great. Who else is out here? Go grab somebody else. Then we spread out as a team and take care of our cats and our puppies as time efficiently as we possibly can to make sure that they are getting what they need. So our staff has expanded quite a bit in the last little bit. There used to be about 2 to 3 people per shift, but now we're averaging 3 people each shift, sometimes 4, which is really nice because then we have more time to enrich the animals, doing more walks and training and one-on-one with them, rather than just trying to keep a cleansely environment and feeding, watering, and that kind of thing. Then we have the ability to do more with more staff. Come on. It's all right. This way. This way. Good boy. Good. Sit. This way. This way. Good boy. Sit. Good. Sit. Good boy. Oh, your paws are getting cold. Can't be out as long in the winter. So I believe these guys came in with their mama Bettina as a pregnant mom.
I'm the foster coordinator for Saving Grace. The dog that you just saw was Bettina. She came to us pregnant from Saskatchewan. She had her puppies in care in a foster home and they are now 8 weeks old.
She would have just been wandering the streets and they would have taken her in. So if it wasn't for Saving Grace, they probably wouldn't have a very high chance of survival. I do know that the Saving Grace team has run into some really sad cases where they find puppy skeletons a lot. So we do our best to step in, obviously, before that happens. As soon as they come into care with Saving Grace, they're administered vaccinations. Even being younger, because they're coming from situations where they're malnourished, we want to make sure that they're given something right away to help them fight and become healthy again. And then once they are at a certain age, they are spayed, neutered, and microchipped and up for adoption.
What makes Saving Grace a little bit different is kind of like our no animal left behind policy. We've never just been like, oh, we just rescue dogs or we just rescue cats. Like, we've always just said, you know, if there's a way we can help, and whatever capacity that may be, just like Amanda said, whether it's transportation or intake, or just, we've been known to just pay people's medical bills. I don't want to like have that out there too much so people think that that's something that we can always do. But if the animal, sometimes leaving the animal in the home, and sometimes people just need a little bit of help. So every call is different. There's never a consistent day, but every single day we are advocating for animals, no matter if it's a cat, a cow, a donkey, or a snake. We do whatever we can.
So when we first got the shelter in Alex, we had the capacity for about 12 dogs. We weren't doing cats at that time. And Aaron and I had kind of entered into a partnership with a couple other people, and unfortunately just didn't work out. So it just ended up being the two of us running the shelter. We were open 7 days a week, and I think we were open 8 to 8. Yeah. And so I think how our schedule worked is like I would do 4 days maybe, and then you would do 4 days, and it was kind of like a 4 on, 4 off, 8 to 8 every day. Our cat rooms now, I remember we had like set a futon up there, and we were like, okay, like we can nap like halfway through the day, and we'll basically just live here until we make enough money to like hire people, and things will get better. It'll be okay.
You keep saying that 4 years later.
And when I think back to that time, I'm like, man, like we must have just been so stressed. But now when like we're like, it was so peaceful then. When you go from 12 dogs in a shelter to what do we have now?
24
dogs. I mean, that is a big increase. That brings a lot more stress. But thankfully, I don't think we had to do that for too long. It was the two of us, and then we slowly added one more staff. And then as we grew a little bit more, we added another. And it was a really slow process for a while for those that first year or so. And then we just kind of hit this point where I think we just like everything skyrocketed and we grew, and all of a sudden like everyone knew who Saving Grace was. And yeah, we've just been able to keep adding staff, keep kind of increasing our capacity for care. And yeah, we don't really expect it to be slowing down anytime soon.
The growth has been so crazy. And like when I look at, it's crazy going back through your Facebook memories and like looking at how the shelter looked before and like how it looks now. And just yesterday I was like, all of a sudden I was like, we have 16 staff. Like that is crazy. Coming from when it used to just be the two of us, not having a paycheck, living off of veggie burgers from the bar down the street. I ate so many. Like I haven't had one forever now because that first year, like it is all we ate. Yeah.
There is a bit of a stereotype in the nonprofit sector in regards to animal rescues. A lot of people kind of look down on having paid staff and that money going into someone's paycheck instead of into the animals. But the fact of the matter is that someone working in a shelter deserves to be paid just as someone does providing any other service to people in the community. These animals need our help, and we can do so much more when we can actually afford to live.
I've said from the get-go, I never, ever, ever want to jeopardize an animal's welfare. So there's a difference between a volunteer and a staff member. I can guarantee that staff member is going to show up. I can't always rely on volunteers. And especially our cases are more major medical and more behavioral based. So that makes it even harder for the dogs to overcome their issues in an adequate time frame.
We couldn't have a volunteer come in and handle probably half of the dogs that we have right now. We're lucky to have trainers that are in here a couple times a week, and we are able to provide our staff with additional dog training skills so that we can kind of get the groundwork started with the dogs that we have in care. We can take on the tougher cases and we can kind of set them up so that we know when they're transitioning to their forever homes, they've had some training and we kind of know what we're working with.
Don't get me wrong, volunteers are great and we couldn't operate without them, and we appreciate them and we love them, but it is just putting way too much pressure on ensuring animals' welfare when you have a constant rotation of volunteers coming in. And it was just too big of a risk for us as an organization to just completely be volunteer-based. We would never be able to grow.
We are proud of the fact that we are able to keep our costs down on other levels while still being able to operate a shelter from 7 to 9 every day, 7 days a week, and be on call 24/7. We really try and use donated materials and donated items and make the money that our donors give us go as much into the animals as possible. And that's why we're able to take on so many medical cases that other people aren't able to afford, because we know that that's kind of what we pride ourselves on, and that's where we want that money to go. I think we've had multiple dogs that were at serious risk of euthanasia had we not been able to take them. simply because they were behavioral cases and on top of that medical cases. So not only do they have something medical that like they need care for daily, but maybe they're reactive to humans and they need to work on that. Not any person can change a dog's bandage while also, you know, distracting them from biting another human. So we're really thankful to be able to have staff that can handle these dogs safely and in turn giving those dogs another shot.
I will always stand behind the fact that having staff has given us the opportunity to grow how we have and to be able to help the animals that we have. We always talk about like how different me and Amanda are, and it's kind of funny because in the organization, like what we bring to the table as well, it's so different. I am all about the dogs and Amanda is 100% about the cats. It was so much in the beginning that I used to be like, just for our capacity for care and like my abilities and my interests, I would just say like, oh, we don't take cats. Like we would take a major medical cat, or I would take a couple barn cats here and there, but we were taking in like maybe 1 to 2 cats a month. And then Amanda just started like slowly pushing them in to the point that now our cat program, I think, is actually even bigger than our dog program as far as the turnaround.
Yeah, so recently our cat program has really taken off. I cannot tell you how many times in the last year I have been told that I am the cat lady, or that like I just love cats so much. And don't get me wrong, I love cats. I also do love dogs. I also do love literally every animal out there. And the thing was that we had a really successful dog program, and you know, we were always able to provide a space for dogs, but we just started to get more and more calls for cats in need, and we were finding that all of the surrounding rescues were always full, that there was just this huge need for cats to be helped, and there just wasn't enough help for them around. And I'm not someone who is really great at saying no, and I just wanted to help. I know that, you know, the cats need help too. And so yeah, when we were able to open up our cat program, that was, I think, a really big milestone for us. It has grown and continues to grow, and I mean, there's definitely more of a need than we can provide, but I just feel like it speaks to what we're able to do, that like we were able to create that safe space for the cats as well. We've had bunnies come in, we've had guinea pigs come in, we've had birds come in. I think we had like some kind of a lizard come in at one point.
Yeah, we've had a snake.
Yeah, and then not to mention like our farm sanctuary where we're seeing donkeys and pigs and miniature horses. So I think the whole concept behind Saving Grace, with the fact that like if there is an animal in need, we will try our very best to help it, whether that means taking it into our program, or whether that means finding space for it in another program, or simply just transporting it to somewhere where it can get help. Whenever a call comes in, whenever an email comes in, I just want to help, and I really try to do my best to just help in some sort of aspect, instead of just turning people away and having to just deal with it on their own.
Saving Grace, like Amanda jokes that it's my baby and it's her adopted baby, but it genuinely is. It is everything that I, from a little girl, could have ever imagined. Like that I get to work with animals day in and day out, and I get to literally change their life and save it. It's everything that an animal lover could ever want. And I've been so fortunate to be able to be put in this position, that it is what I get to do, but it does. People don't see the toll that it takes on somebody. It is, ever since the day I started it and committed to it, I have not stepped back even one step. It's all I do. I joke that I eat, sleep, and breathe it, but take a phone call at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'll take a phone call at 1 o'clock in the morning. And if that animal needs me, I will get up and go. I will drop everything to make sure that that animal has a second chance. And that's kind of been, Amanda's never had that opportunity as much just because she has children. So it's been really good to have her support in that, of like, when I'm at my wit's end, calling her in the middle of the night being like, what do we do? What do we do? I've been able to just go out and get the animal and never worry about what's going to happen to it. Like I've always just said, like, we'll just go and we'll get it and we'll figure it out. And she's thankfully been really supportive in that, because there's been some crazy cases that we've drove throughout the night, drove to Saskatchewan in the middle of the night to go get and save, and it's worked out time and time and time and time and time again. So working 24/7, it's absolutely hard and tiring, but there is nothing else I would rather do. I joke like, sometimes I don't want this job, but I know that there is nothing else. I was literally born to do this. This is what I was meant to do. Yes, I love you too.